Hey, David Brewster here with an episode of Brewster's Millions of Rants, and this is Happy New Gear. And I did want to include this to kind of kick off the new year because I did have some new upgrades and I had some requests, to kind of feature, the new tremolo on my guitar. And I don't really feature gear that often on my channel, but I have noticed, in the comments, a lot of the viewers have been asking, what kind of picks I use, what kind of strings I use, what kind of pickups, and everything. I even had questions about straps. So for a channel that's not really gear focused, I have noticed a lot of attention is given toward gear. So I'm not going to change the format here. I just wanted to include some of my new, equipment and some new things in my studio. I do have a brand new guitar that I'm going to feature in this episode and talk about, some of the other things that I've upgraded recently. But the big upgrade that I did mention on Facebook, but I haven't really, featured it on the channel here, is I have a tremolo again on my guitar. I have a bar. No way. It's about 20 years that I didn't have a bar on this guitar. And I really just had the bridge kind of blocked off, almost like a hardtail, where the bridge really didn't move. And that was great for, tuning stability, or if I broke a string and I was on stage, my guitar stayed in tune. But I did miss having a bar, and I've had requests to feature, bar tricks and Michael Lee Firkins and a whole bunch of stuff. And I thought, gosh, how am I going to do this stuff without a bar? So to make a long story short, I was actually going to buy a completely different guitar and, something with a bar on it. And the more I thought about it, I thought, that seems kind of silly. I've got this Strat. Really, I just need to adjust, some things, and I needed, some of the various hardware and springs and screws and stuff. So I went ahead and just bought a whole new tremolo, kit and replaced it. And that was technically between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm very, very happy with this upgrade. I'm definitely happy having a bar again. And I'm still, trying to kind of work, some of my old licks and stuff and kind of get used to having a tremolo. But I'm really, really happy with the locking tuners, that I added to this guitar. The kind of prefab or pre-wired, pick guard from Fender with the Shawbucker and 2 Fender noiseless. And then I'm also really happy with this tremolo kit too that I bought. So, thanks to Fender, I've upgraded this guitar, and now it feels and plays and sounds like a brand new guitar. And I've had a lot of people ask, why didn't you just buy a new guitar? But I know how I am. If I wouldn't have made these upgrades and just left the guitar the way it was, I probably would have just put it in the case and stopped playing it. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to continue using, this guitar. So these upgrades have allowed me to continue using this guitar, and I'm really, really happy with it. Great, great upgrades from Fender for sure. And I also want to take a second and thank everybody for the continued, views and likes and shares, the comments, requests, all the attention on YouTube and then also on social media, like on Facebook. And I did want to mention that the shirts are coming, the official Late Night Lessons t-shirts. They will be here in early spring. I didn't forget about them. I just knew that summer was wrapping up and winter was coming and Christmas and stuff. And I thought nobody's going to buy a t-shirt in December, or November or whatever. So think, maybe like late March, early April, there will be t-shirts available. And I've had a lot of people asking for t-shirts. And then also this year, or technically last year, I had New Lessons in Guitar Player magazine. My 10th book was published, shape shifting. I also released Fretboard Fitness, which is, kind of an instructional method for Patreon supporters for my channel. And, just definitely had a really good year. Even though 2020 was really bad, there were some good things, kind of sprinkled throughout the year. And, I don't really want to focus on the bad things. I want to focus on the good. So I want to thank everybody for just the continued, just consistent, support, views, likes, comments, and everything. That's awesome. This channel's doing, really well, and I want to thank everybody because without your help and your support, this wouldn't have gone anywhere. And I did want to mention as I kind of talk about some of these upgrades and kind of play with the new guitar and and just talk for a second. I just want to thank everybody because it really does, it makes me feel great to notice, the inspiration. I'm seeing people that are inspired and they're thanking me, or maybe I've turned somebody onto a new band or guitarist that they've never heard of, and they're thanking me for that. And I guess that's a big part of this is just finding inspiration, and this is kind of a gear related, video. I'm talking about some of the upgrades and kind of talking about some things that happened last year. But, it's interesting. I mean, you can find inspiration, on your own without buying anything additional or new. But sometimes for me, even when I just put a new set of strings on, it kind of sparks something where it's like, hey, my guitar sounds different, or it sounds brighter or better. And I'm a big fan of locating and finding those sparks of inspiration because you can find them everywhere. Those upgrades have made a huge difference. So if you don't really have the money or the budget, set aside to buy a new guitar, think about upgrades. Upgrade your pickups. You can upgrade, tuners if you're having some tuning issues and some things like that. Maybe look at what you have and then try to find some ways to improve what you have instead of just turn around buying something new. So here's the new guitar, and this is a Paul Reed Smith S2 Vela. And I did post about this on Facebook, but I haven't actually appeared, on YouTube yet with this. And I did post that I was getting the guitar, but this video technically was delayed. I was going to shoot this on New Year's Eve, and that's when the guitar was supposed to arrive. But there was an issue with shipping, and it was delayed, and it arrived today. So I had to kind of postpone this video because you can't really make a new gear video without the new gear. But I basically selected this guitar because it's very different than the other guitars I have in my studio. I wanted something completely, different as far as pickups and the construction. And this is a great guitar. I technically have only had it since today. So I spent a little bit of time, this afternoon kind of playing around with it and getting a feel for it. And I really like it. And it is radically different than the Strat and the Les Paul, which is what I wanted. I didn't want a different version of the same thing. I wanted something completely different. And I almost went for the semi-hollow version with the F-hole, but I'm kind of glad that I went with just the regular solid body because it's well made. Pickups sound pretty good. Got a coil tap here where we can kind of split that humbucker. It's got that nice kind of in-between spanky kind of tone right there. Love that. And then the neck pickup's this kind of stacked, single coil, but I dig it. It's got this kind of vintage vibe. I'm also pretty happy with the satin finish. I'm not really a big fan of the super high gloss finishes, even though the Les Paul and my Strat both have, high gloss finishes. But I do like this kind of satin finish where you can really feel the guitar resonate, when you're playing chords. You can feel it, everywhere. You know, I like that. And I don't know. So far I'm really happy with it. I've only spent, you know, maybe like an hour with this guitar before I started shooting this video because I wanted to hurry and kind of get this out. But you know, depending on the artist and the lesson, you know, I'll kind of pick and choose which guitar I'm going to use. But so far I'm really happy with this. You know, it's kind of lighter. It's not as definitely not as heavy as my Les Paul, but I like it. It's got kind of a fat neck, but I like that. Hey, like I said earlier, I just wanted to thank everybody for the continued, you know, support for this channel, and in a roundabout way, I mean, you helped me get this guitar. So I'm definitely going to feature this, you know, in upcoming lessons, and I'm definitely going to go back and, you know, feature the Les Paul and the Strat too. But at least now I have a trio of electrics that I can kind of play with. And I don't know, I'm just one of those, you know, players where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's probably, you know, one reason why it's been 20 years since I bought a new guitar. You know, my Les Paul was technically the last electric guitar that I bought, and that was 20 years ago. I guess technically 21 now that it's 2021. But I bought that in 2000. My Strat's from 1996, and this is, of course, of 2020, Paul Reed Smith. But I'm definitely really pleased with the new guitar, the new upgrades, the new rig, the new pedal board. You know, there's a lot of new things, and I'm going to continue upgrading things. And there's a few upgrades I'm going to make behind the scenes, which it's not the kind of thing that I'm going to feature on the channel, but you'll definitely be able to see and hear a difference once I make some additional upgrades here. So once again, we're only getting started. You know, this is technically, I haven't even hit the 2-year mark as far as late night lessons, you know, on YouTube. So this is still just kind of the growing cycle or whatever. So just in case there's some viewers scratching your head wondering, you know, why is he focused on, you know, gear so much? You know, don't worry, this isn't going to turn into a gear review, you know, channel. But this is the first electric guitar that I've bought in 20 years. So this is, you know, big news as far as, you know, my world. And I just wanted to share the excitement and, you know, kind of kick things off in 2021 in a new direction, some new equipment, some new sounds, and some new ideas. And definitely there's a ton of lessons on the way, so we're just getting started here. But I do want to wish everybody, you know, happy holidays, happy new year, and definitely, you know, stay tuned. There's more lessons and material coming. So please subscribe to Late Night Lessons and leave some comments and feedback. And I'll be back before you know it with more content material. Thank you.